Hello and welcome to another Tales from the Team Car. I'm with David Walters, who's just come back from Belgium, and we're going to talk we're going to talk about a little bit about this season and his adventures in Belgium, but we're going to talk a little bit about the future, aren't we, David?
Yeah, good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, back from Belgium again. E40 from Ghent and I are becoming very good friends. Um, Very enjoyable. We were there for a week, well, best part of a week last week. We took in a Kermesse and our first UCI race, 1.2, in a town called Beveren, which is towards Antwerp.
Yeah,
Um, Took four riders, all under 23, and took in our Kermesse at Schelde van Winker. I think that's how you pronounce it. And had a grand old time. A hot evening for
yeah,
once. The rain's held off because we've been dogged by rain, as everybody knows. And fast race, lots of learning. Bit of illness in the camp, unfortunately, does hamper what's going on. But it's all a stepping stone, getting to do biggish kermesses against good quality riders and come up against the Belgian kermesse champion and rub shoulders and get shouted at. And then and give as good as you get, which is all part of it. And
they didn't shout at Erin, did they? I mean, she's from South Yorkshire. It's one she didn't deck somebody.
it was young Freya, which
All
was
right.
which is really nice because um, it's all part of the sport.
Yeah,
It's all part of getting your elbows out and learning to deal with these things. But then between races, we went and rode some of the classic cobbles, some of the climbs from Flanders routes. We did the Eau de Quarmont, Koppenberg, Paterberg, and as well as some flatter stretches like Varant as well.
yeah,
It's all part of the plan because there are cobbles in our races,
yeah,
and the sooner we can get used to riding them, the better, because the Belgians get brought up on them
yeah.
and they're comfortable on cobbles. They might not be um, favourite road surface of everybody. Some people actually like riding them, but to preempt races in the future, the sooner you can get used to the differing techniques and style of cobbles, it's remarkable how the different climbs, etc., have different characteristics.
Yes.
So it's making use of our time.
And I mean, Belgium's where a lot of your future's going to be, isn't it? And you met my cousin,
I did. Joanne, Tom's
Joanne, yeah,
daughter.
from
Really nice, really nice
Tom's daughter. Yeah,
evenings spent at the Kermesse, chatting bike racing, chatting nonsense about cycling and history and her life in Belgium.
yeah,
Really interesting.
yeah,
Memories with and Joanne's really supportive of the team,
yeah.
um, as you are, Chris. It's a brilliant thing if we can forge ahead and keep getting involved with some Tom Simpson related projects like your retro ride and festival
Yeah,
and other things that I know is going on in the future. And Joanne is very much at our side as well. So
yeah.
we've got really nice endorsement, if you want to put it that way, from the family. It sounds like the mafia.
Yeah, well, we are a bit. We're,
But
yeah,
it's lovely. I mean, lovely. Um, it's a very interesting connection because I'm a historian of the sport, like you are, and it fascinates me um, to see what guys like Tom and Barry and all the others that followed the path they trod. Um, and there are some similarities because they all
yes,
recognise that Belgium is the place to. It's a schooling place.
yes,
It's the place to learn your chops,
yeah.
and we're trying to do that with our riders. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but it's as good a place to learn your trade as a cyclist that there is.
It's and at the moment it's a lot better than Britain because we await BC's road race strategy, but it's a long time coming, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, leading on from that, we're already planning ahead
Yes.
um, for next year. We've got an outline race program given what we know from this year and previous years. And So we've got an outline race program we're putting together for 2025 and beginning to pull together all the necessary support that we need for that and to develop our plans slowly, surely, manageably going into the future. And one of the considerations is finding a base out in Belgium, near Ghent, somewhere. Um, Remarkably, that it is or could be economically viable for us to do
Yes,
it.
yes.
And Joanne is very keen to get involved in that side of things and be the local contact. Um, so we can have a split base, a UK Belgian base, and do it properly and have a home from home.
It
So
would yeah, it would be much easier because there's no, I mean, at whatever level of cycling you're at, and even if you're going in first class planes tickets, in the world tour, traveling's tiring, isn't it? If you're on hand, as you're
yeah,
finding, I mean, what did you drive? 11 out of 12 hours or something on,
just a smidge less, about 10
yeah,
and a half from 12.
on
Me
Sunday?
and my car, yeah, on
Yeah.
Sunday. If you include following the race in the convoy, which it is a
It's
thing in itself,
nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking. I don't know how you.
and then jumping in the car, getting to Calais, jumping on the train, and the train on Sunday night, we spent no more than half an hour going through Eurotunnel, France, and onto the train. And for anybody that's done it in the summer, half an hour is next to nothing doing that.
Right.
Yeah. So if there's a way of factoring in a base that we can use it as a home from home, as we say, and we can leave stuff there. There's
Yeah.
logistically, it makes perfect sense. It all comes down to things about around budget, but it is viable because hotel rooms aren't getting any cheaper, and
And
we
they're
are
going to keep
expanding.
going up, aren't they?
We are expanding the team slightly for next year, so we will need extra rooms, as it were, extra beds, and the, the economics of it can stack up, can make sense, and geographically, again, is within an hour or so from a huge number of our races when we
Yeah,
go abroad.
yeah.
It's like living in Sheffield
It
for
it it
the
it's
UK riders.
yeah.
There's it's access, and it can be done. So we can take in a really good UK program once we know what that is. And as you mentioned, it would be really nice to have a strategy and a plan from BC, so we can factor that in. But we can't wait
No.
for plans and strategies to come from other places. It'd be really interesting to see what their schedule is in terms of getting a plan in place from their recommendations. But we're talking 2025 to people already,
Yeah.
and we're not the only ones. Well, I know there are people talking to other people, as it were, planning the next move.
Well,
Um,
you've got to be, haven't you? I mean, in the Tour de France, that's where all the deals are done, isn't it? For
all of it,
future
yeah,
teams.
yeah,
Um,
and it's interesting times. There are changes afoot in the women's peloton, as it were, the women's racing in the UK and abroad. There are teams announcing already that they're folding at the end of the year, and rumours of other teams folding at the end of the year. Um, Rumours are pinch of salt stuff until it happens. It's still a rumour, but I and we are ploughing on ahead and making our plans,
yeah,
and it's really interesting. We've been really well received by the friends in Belgium. We get to know the commissaires there now, and the grumpy guys who do the chip timing, who are grumpy before the race, I'm really welcoming afterwards.
well, they've
Because
had a few by then. It's 10 laps, they've had 10 beers.
and it's friendly faces, and we've got some nice contacts over there in other teams, and we're learning our trade, me as much as the riders, and it's really good. It's a really positive step, but we're not trying to reinvent stuff.
It
It's
it
not magic. It's
it
just pulling it all together and understanding what's needed.
it's wonderful. It's how the 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the 90s, yeah, British pros over there made their, they got based in Belgium. Graham Jones's, Paul Sherwin's, living in the north of France, eventually moving into Belgium. Alan Piper and Phil Anderson, they're just based there because that's where you learnt your trade and
Yeah,
got the racing.
and there's plenty of racing. I
Yeah,
mean, and it's good quality. The race on Sunday was high quality. It was
and
really well run. We shouldn't be surprised because it's what they do. But it was relaxed, official enough to be official, if that makes sense. But the town got behind the race. People came out. It was a really lovely setting, and it just works. Um, and it's just a really good apprenticeship for everybody
mm,
concerned. But it's also there's loads of stuff you can do off the back of it once we get established more. With sponsors, we can take sponsors out to Belgium and do a ride around Flanders on the
yes,
Flanders route. Go to the Flanders Cycling Museum and Cafe, and go to the square in Oudenaarde and have a Fanta
yeah,
and pretend to be pros for the day. There's loads of opportunity to understand the sport more from that perspective.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
and
you've got your contacts there. I've got my contacts there of family, and I
yeah,
mean, Joanne knows everybody.
she does. She was stopping people in the street.
And it's and of course, more and more we're seeing with the things I'm doing, the different branches of what Cycling Legends is, and this new business, the equation that I'm doing. Richard Oakes, Richard talks about this. We're all related. There's
Yes,
a wave pattern going through everything, and if you do a mind map of everything I'm doing at the moment, and you're going to come to the retro cycling event as well, and Erin's going to be involved with some of the sponsorship that we've got for that. Um, so it's all a big. Any prospective sponsors, anybody's listening, you don't just get access to a cycling team. There's a whole network of things happening
and they're all connected.
where
It's all
your name
connected,
have been mentioned and you're associated with. And they're
and
all
it's
good things.
they're all really wholesome, good things, and
Good,
they're fun.
good some things, fun, news, joy.
Yeah, and an interconnected way of progressing everybody's individual projects
Yeah,
as a whole, as a
yeah.
collective, and it
Cooperative, cooperative.
and it really works. So yeah, I'm always all ears. We're always all ears. You, I, and people associated all ears to hear other people's ideas, thoughts, comments about you know, opportunities. Um, we are competing regularly against big teams.
Mm.
Um, we need to sharpen up our budget. There's no two ways about it.
Well,
But
tell them about Sunday where you were part.
well, it's we do things on a budget because we have to, and
Yeah,
I'm really good at making the best out of a little amount because I've been doing this 15 years. I know what needs to be spent. I know what doesn't need to be spent. So with the complications of Brexit and customs notwithstanding, we take two team cars over to the near continent with bikes and riders and all the kit in the two team cars. We don't have a van, a bus, or anything like that. We rocked up at the race on Sunday and deliberately got there early to get a good pitch, as it were.
you
And
found a tree for shade because you didn't take your gazebo. You had to have a
anybody
tree.
that anybody understand bike races and the HQs, there is a bun fight element to it. But this was as big a car park as we've ever been in. It was great, but for once it was a lovely warm day,
Mhm.
strong sun. So I deliberately got there and pitched up near a tree for shade for our chairs for the riders to be comfortable in whilst they're doing their prep. And we were parked next to Phoenix de Koenig.
Mhm.
Now, Phoenix de Koenig had three new Skodas, a massive mechanics van with jet washer, and an air-conditioned team bus with loo and seating areas and all the rest. It was like Formula One,
Yeah,
and it just goes to show the disparity.
yeah,
And we're competing on the same race day. We're
yeah,
lining up on the same start line
yeah.
as these guys, and I don't resent their budget one bit because people have worked really hard to pull that all together, and I know what it's like. It's not an easy task, but there is a huge disparity. Um,
And you've
we're
got to compete. It's not a handicap. You've got to compete direct.
it's never we're never going to be a direct competitor on that side of things to Phoenix de Koenig and the World Tour teams. That's not what this project's about. However, there are certain benefits to having more than we've got and making better use of the budget we have.
Yeah.
But that's fine because this is a new project and you go into it with eyes wide open. And I'm old enough and wise enough now to know that it's not going to come straight away, but we get established. We,
Mm.
we spend a season understanding what we've got and understanding the opportunities, understanding how we need to change if we do need to change or amend certain things, add into certain things, but also understanding the opportunity and seeing it unfold by making connections, make and networking and putting across to people opportunities that there are to get involved because it's great fun and it's a really good outcome at the end of it. Helping young riders develop their careers
Yes.
is a really meaningful thing. And if anybody can wants to witness it, you see a development of riders on our teams over the past, and some riders have gone on to just do amazing things. Like Emma Cockcroft, when she's with Bianchi, great road rider. She's just done an Ironwoman event in 9 hours 30.
Yeah.
Staggeringly good. And it's fun to help young athletes develop and see where they go. And that's what this is all about. It's making good use of our time, me and Caroline and everybody involved, and seeing where we can take it as a collective.
And are you satisfied with where you are? We're probably more than halfway through the season, especially the way the UK season is. You've got a particular target coming up, which I want to talk about, but you've, I think, I'm sort of answering your question. You've made your presence, but probably more important, you're accepted in Belgium and you're accepted in the UK. And was that the objective for this year one?
It's getting established, definitely.
Yeah.
Understanding what the scene is like as a youngsters squad, an under 23 squad, basically. Understanding the demands, the opportunities, and what we need to be doing. Getting a good core group of people together and forever in the debt of the riders that committed to us because we're new and different. So everybody that's involved on that side of it, I'm over the moon with. We've had building great relationships between riders as well, finding a core direction. But yes, we've had a really good start. It's a really good grounding, and we can understand where we are in the bigger scheme of things, and we can try to understand the current state of play in the UK and this current state of play in Northern Europe, which is accessible to us. It's very accessible. Um, so yes, we're really happy with where we're at.
Yeah.
But now there is opportunity there for us to grow slowly. We're not going to over expand and try and do things that aren't manageable because that way ruin lies. Doing too much too soon. So yes, we've got a really good base. We understand what's what. We've got an under 23 Comess coming up at the end of the month.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Yes.
Yeah, that's a chance to test ourselves against our peers,
Mm.
and that's really important because racing against Phoenix de Koenig and all the gang, you're racing against possibly same age, but they're in a different world
Yeah.
as full-time riders with
Well, they're
all
full-time riders and they're paid and
the
everything's done
facilities.
for them. And
Yeah, and they've been through this process in Belgium and the Netherlands
yeah.
that we haven't been through.
Mm.
You know, that shouldn't be underestimated. That we're trying to do things from uh, a standing start.
You're playing away all the time as well, aren't you?
Yeah, so we're never going to compete with those guys, and we're racing this under 23 Comess, and it's a really good opportunity just to say, right, get to the sharp end of this and see what's what, see where we're at, see where we stand up, So that'll be interesting in itself. Um, so yeah, this year's been about getting established, showing people that it's a different project, um, but Caroline and I are still at the helm,
Yeah.
um, and we were known as running a good ship with Bianchi when we had Bianchi Dharma and Bianchi Hunt Morello.
Well, you've already got riders sending CVs in, haven't you?
We have,
It's really,
yes,
yeah, from all over the world.
all over the world. And bumping into riders
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Flanders coffee shops,
yeah.
and you can see their eyes starting to glance around and think, "Oh, what's this all about then?"
Mm,
Because there aren't many under 23 teams
mm,
around.
mm.
Um, so yes, it's really interesting. It's a really good first year, and it's been a difficult time historically for the cycling world, especially in the UK.
Yeah.
Um, we
Uh,
all know about downturns, but good people survive, and
yes.
opportunities will present themselves
Yep.
as the good, experienced people who got the knowledge and
Yeah.
some understanding of the sport can benefit from the opportunities that will arise.
Well, you've
So,
been predicting this for right from the start of the year, or from last year, that this year would be the time, a very difficult time, but a time when opportunities would arise, and by the end of this year, things will look very, very different.
well, I thought that as soon as started trying to piece this all together.
Yeah.
Um, might be considered a bit daft to try and set something up in a downturn. But if you can do that in a downturn
Yeah.
with limited resources and prove yourself, prove your model,
Yeah.
then with the best will in the world, we can crack on.
Yeah.
And
We're both
and
in the same boat. We've both done the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah, and that's why another interconnection.
Yeah.
It's it's um it's just interesting times. It keeps you on your toes. It's not most straightforward, and resilience isn't needed just by the riders.
No,
It's
no, and also friendship, because you've had to pick me up a time or two in this last few months.
um, um, and
Um,
we do it proud.
yeah.
It's such a nice opportunity to progress everybody's interests
Yeah.
along a path, and the riders have been fantastic. Caroline's been great again, as always, and we can crack on. There's
Yeah.
opportunities there, and putting together plans for next year makes you realise, yeah, this got legs. It's really got legs. Now we need to, I need to do some work and raise funds,
Yeah.
because hotel rooms don't pay for themselves, and ferry crossings or Eurotunnel crossings are not cheap.
No.
But we've got credibility in this. We're proving the model this year. I think
Yeah.
it's
And I think all the sponsors have had good exposure this year, and I mean, it's the same for us both. If anybody's listening, and just if you're listening, just get behind and support. At NouvellesCycling, follow on Instagram. Um, if you want to get more involved and find out more about the team, contact us at Cycling Legends, Cycling Legends One on Twitter, or where can they contact you direct, David?
and do it many ways via our website. There's a website
Yes,
form, message form at NouvellesCycling.co.uk,
NouvellesCycling.co.uk. Yeah.
or seem to be always on Twitter, X, answering a couple of messages. There's still mileage in that old platform.
But there is, and I'm trying to get some more cycling on it, and
It, it used to be a real cyclist's friend. It,
it was very good. It was very good, and it was where to put your products and everything. And but it's got swamped at the
it
moment.
had become, yeah, we all know the
We're
reason.
going the UK and the US. So the UK's probably been through a period of madness, and is going to come out of it. The US is just entering one by the looks of it. But
But there's some at academy_ds
yeah,
on Twitter, X. So yeah, it's a really interesting time, and it's very interesting path to take.
yes,
In the whole
fascinating story.
under 23 team, and to understand what's needed to develop these young riders' careers. And essentially, that's what we're trying to do. We're just
Yeah.
trying to be a really good launch pad for these young riders in their careers, and using the knowledge that I've built up and the contacts we've built up and forming friendships. It's just a very interesting project. It's good use of my time, and that's as good as reason to do it. If I can make it work, then it's very satisfying.
Uh, It is, and you've got another factor that you're also being mindful of, and this shows your the way you look forward, and don't just plan about now, is, and we can talk about it later, so we'll not name any names, but you're looking at providing feeder teams, feeding whatever in to your team
Yes,
and
yes,
exit out into a higher league, you're already making those contacts and those things are starting to establish themselves now.
yeah. We're a stepping stone. So
Yeah.
there's going to be somebody wanting to come onto the stones, and it's got to go in a direction.
Mhm.
And I'm very conscious that we need input from the junior ranks,
Yeah.
actually, and elsewhere. But we do need a pathway forward, and we're making connections. Really good stuff.
I remember doing one of these right at the start of this, and you saying, I said, What would you show as a good season? What's a good year?" He says, "Well, when we've got no riders left because they've all moved on
Yeah,
to
and
bigger things,
to better things,
better
really.
things."
Yeah, to help them in their career, but also get them connected to really good teams,
Yeah,
teams that look after riders. There's there are way too many people involved in the sport. We've all seen stories this week about inappropriate behaviour by people.
yeah,
And one of my tasks is to try and make the connections with people that look after riders and have the best interests of the riders at heart. Because we've seen it way too often that we lose too many riders due to inappropriate behaviour or being let down, overpromised, and the usual thing.
yeah.
And it's not unique to cycling, is it? It's it's a societal thing and manifests itself a lot in sport.
It's,
So I'm very conscious of that as well. To be a good source of contacts and connections. Um, I say from feeding in and feeding out.
mm,
So it's
and
part of the project. It's part of the project at large.
it is the way the more enlightened World Tour teams are going as well now.
Yeah.
Development, they're at the top end, but they're talking about long-term development. We're hearing more and more about 5-year contracts and, you
Well,
know,
Ridley have just signed a sponsorship deal with the Uno X for 10 years to supply
yes,
them.
and that
Now that
continuity is
that continuity and
what's needed.
sustainability, that's unheard of.
Yes.
Back in our day, it was a 2-year contract was something to be
Yeah, you had
celebrated.
to be Greg LeMond to get a 2-year contract. Everybody else was a year, and the team managers thought, "Wow, it makes you hungry. Why am I going to give you more?"
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they
So
were like,
no, the World Tour teams and the good World Tour teams, and my knowledge of them, the vast majority are really good places
yes,
because they are at the top of the pile. But we all know that there are problems elsewhere,
yeah,
not everywhere, of course, but there are problems elsewhere in the sport. And finding the right people that I could be confident in passing a 22-year-old young rider across to, in the knowledge that they'd get well looked after, delivered what's promised, and an appropriate program. So yes, it's again another very interesting part of the project at large, and yeah, we're making some really nice contacts, and that's an interesting conversation to have with people as well.
mhm.
That's new to me as well. It's great.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's a catch up with the team and with David Walters, and we'll probably speak after the under 23 KMS or whenever you want to.
Yeah.
Got lots of things going, and there's going to be lots of developments next year. Of course, you get Danny Kahn, a 5 times world champion, who back in the team. She's been on Paralympic duty, and um, yeah, we'll see where she is at the end of this year.
Yeah, it's that's a whole other part of this team is having Danny on board as a senior rider in a sort of mentor resource, if you like. But her being on the paracycling journey was not part of this project at
No.
all. It wasn't our thinking when we started talking about it at the end of last year. So that's an amazing story in itself. And having a knowledgeable, motivated, um, worldly wise rider in effect.
Yes. And she's got a lot of presence, hasn't she?
She
And
just
accomplished.
she's done a lot, Danny.
She's
We'll
done
talk
a
about
lot.
you know, she's ridden for Lotto Soudal with Lotto Kopecky, and
Yeah.
she's what we were saying, she's had bad experiences.
Yeah.
And her career is well, it's invaluable to have an experienced head on, someone who's actually there on the ground doing it,
And she,
living those moments. And yes, we can certainly uh, we spend a lot of time discussing Danny Kahn's career, the ups and
yeah.
downs, the left and rights, and she very happily accept that it's not a straight line at all.
No, it's not. It's been like the Pyrenees.
But
Um,
yes, there's lots of other elements to this.
yeah, but that's great. Well, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon, David.
Thanks, Chris. See you again.